Welcome to the Big Play Cleveland Show presented by FanDuel. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Chris McNeil, Nick Padone. Big shout out to our producer Ryan. As always, we're stepping into studio a little colder this week, but you know what? Still not a hot win column for our Brownies. It's another loss for them. We'll get into it in our Cleveland sports headlines, but, you know, Ohio State rolls over Purdue, and then your Cavs are looking pretty good. We'll get all into it, but how was everybody's weekend?
Pretty good. Woke up to some snowflakes today. I'm not quite used to that commute where you're dealing with a little bit of the weather elements. So it took me a little bit longer than normal. People forget to drive about this time of the year, Nick. But trying to forget a little bit about that Browns game yesterday, playing the lowly Jets. And, man, coming off a bye just looked horrible. We'll break it down, but that really felt just like a low point for this season, Nick.
It really did. And, you know, you look outside and the leaves are still turning and changing off the trees, and you get your first snowfall, and the mock drafts are back in Cleveland.
Yeah. We did help ourselves out with the draft order over the weekend. Now we're very close to getting that top spot. I think it's between us and the Titans right now for that top spot. So we're getting closer, getting past the Jets, seeing what the Jaguars are doing with our other pick out there. So not all in all bad when you're looking at draft, but once again, sad when you're talking about it before Thanksgiving once again. Season is a total wash at this point. We've known that for a while, but boy, it felt like that was a real funeral on Sunday. And now all we've got is the draft to look forward to. And maybe a couple of changes both with coaching and at the quarterback position. We'll see.
Do you guys believe that players would ever intentionally tank the season, or some of these comments about?
I don't think they need to intentionally tank. I think they're actually that bad. They're that unskilled. They're that poorly coached. They don't need to intentionally lose games like what they did during Sashi Brown and Paul DePodesta's 1-31. Like, I genuinely think they were trying to win yesterday, and they are just so bad. They are so voided of any talent that you lose to the hapless 1-7 New York Jets. Like, I really think we could throw the tanking conversation out the window because this team is just that bad.
It'll just work itself out naturally, as they say, right?
2-7, we're last place in the AFC North, and 0-13 on the road. 5-21 dating back to last season. It's not the greatest. We're going to break it all down, but stick with us. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this.
It's Nick Padone for my friends at Northeast Factory Direct. Whether you're remodeling your kitchen, updating your furniture, freshening up that patio, looking for a great mattress, Northeast Factory Direct is the place for you. There's no fancy showrooms, no high-pressure salespeople, just high-quality items at great prices. It gets even better for our Big Play listeners. When you're shopping at Northeast Factory Direct and you're getting ready to check out with all your stuff, just ask for that extra special Big Play bonus. You're going to get hooked up with an additional discount. So visit them today, Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, North Canton. Check them out online at northeastfactorydirect.com and ask for that extra special Big Play bonus.
The Jets win it over the Browns by a touchdown, 27-20. Is this officially the lowest point in the Andrew Berry Stefanski era?
It may be the lowest point in my fandom so far. And I'm 46 years old. I mean, this has been an awful, awful season. And I think, and as I'm thinking back over the season and why it would be that way, it's that we did have some hope coming into this season. We were talking about this vaunted defense. We were talking about some young guys. At that time, we had Joe Flacco. So we thought, hey, maybe we can compete a little bit while building towards the future. You look back to the 0-16, the 1-31 that was the Hugh Jackson. You knew we were in the tank. You knew that this team was going to be bad. And coming out of it, hopefully we'd be something better. Right now, I don't know what the plan is for this team. We came into here thinking we had a chance to compete a little bit, and the Browns would tell you that coming into this season. We thought we were going to compete. Even though you laugh about it, that's what they really thought. Yeah. And you see where we're at. They're totally unprepared for where we're at right now. So I have zero confidence in them, Nick, going forward and making the right moves.
Well, it definitely does certainly feel like a low point in the Stefanski-Berry era. It also feels like the lowest it's ever been and the most poetic that it's ever been.
Poetic.
Yesterday marked Sunday's loss against the Jets, marked Paul DePodesta's 100th loss with the Cleveland Browns. And obviously, Paul DePodesta is leaving the Cleveland Browns organization in his role as chief strategy officer after a decade to go back to baseball with the Colorado Rockies. You'll remember Paul DePodesta got his start in professional sports in baseball, actually with our Cleveland Indians, and then later with the Oakland A's, where he introduced sabermetrics and analytics and all of these things that have poisoned the Browns. So the fact that Paul DePodesta, despite it publicly being out there that he's going off back to baseball, he was there in person to witness his 100th career loss with the Cleveland Browns on a day where Kevin Stefanski handed the play calling over to Tommy Rees so Stefanski could adopt more of a CEO type of a role, more of a get the guys prepared for the game. And the game ended because of a play that you see oftentimes in youth sports in suburban Ohio, where teams are trying to call a defensive line offsides intentionally, and everybody knows that they have no intention of snapping the football. Nathan Zagura is screaming in the broadcast booth, they're not snapping it, they're not running a play, and the Browns are so undisciplined that of course they jump off sides, and that's how the game ends. So it was really a poetic ending. They are so undisciplined, they're so outcoached, they're so overmatched every single time that they take the football field, while Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry will not be fired after Sunday's meltdown against the Jets. Make no bones about it. When that news comes down in January, it was Sunday's loss against New York that ultimately cost Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry their time in Cleveland, and it is time for a complete change of scenery.
Do we bother getting into any of the bright points of this game? Jerry Jeudy, finally, a season-high 6 receptions for 78 yards.
They were forcing it to him all afternoon, and he caught a few of them.
I like Tommy Rees. At least Tommy Rees realized what Kevin Stefanski couldn't, and that this is a team that is just not very talented, and you might as well try to force-feed Jerry Jeudy the football. And Dylan Gabriel is so bad that some of those passes, I have no idea how they even found their way to Jerry Jeudy, but at least they were able to call his number consistently. You could tell he was the first read. He was the only read. Dylan Gabriel was going to Jerry Jeudy. And I do think that when you're as bad as the Browns are, you've got to try to find a way to get your playmakers involved. And at least they did that. It ultimately doesn't matter.
First impressions matter, though. Tommy Rees taking over as play caller here for the Browns against the Jets. You had a full extra week to prepare coming off of the bye. You're going in with scripted plays of what you want to do the first time you get the ball. Adam Archuleta on the broadcast said that what he witnessed was the worst opening drive he had ever seen in the NFL. That tells you a lot. That's the start of Tommy Rees as play caller for the Cleveland Browns. Pretty damn rough. We'll see what happens going forward. We're going to have to give him a chance, I guess, but man, to have a start like that, that's brutal.
Well, not only give him a chance, I think he's the end game, because Kevin Stefanski has now handed off play calling in back-to-back seasons. Could you ever take it back again? Could you really go into a third season and be like, trust me, guys, third time's a charm. I'm going to get the play calling right this time. Like, I really think that this is all over. And my lasting memory from Sunday's game will be Malachi Corley, who has been one of the lone bright spots on the offense, just throwing an absolute temper tantrum because Dylan Gabriel sailed a football about 10 yards over his head, and Wyatt Teller had a Jets defender in the pavement. It would have broke for a 70-yard touchdown run, and Dylan Gabriel just completely missed him. Remember,
Dylan Gabriel, though,
this is the guy they wanted. They love Dylan Gabriel.
To his credit, he went like this. My bad. Like, who else's bad was that? Who else are you going to blame for that pass? That sword 6 feet over his
head.
head.
Guy isn't. Yeah, it's not his bad that he's not Yao Ming's height and that he's not able to catch that.
But okay, to play devil's advocate, do we even know the scope of what it would be like to be Dylan Gabriel entering this team? Like, we always talk about Shador. Is it Shador time? How much better is it going to be for Shador? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, the onus is on Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. The kid should have never been a top 100 draft pick. Like, we can start there. He should have never been a 100 draft pick. There is nothing about his physical makeup, his college tape, anything that warrants being a top 100 draft pick. They did it. They made the decision. Whatever. He's a top 100 pick. They overreacted because Flacco had a bad start to the season, and they thrusted him into action before, I guess, he was ready. But the fact of the matter is he doesn't belong in the National Football League anyway. So we're trying to evaluate this guy playing against NFL defenses. He belongs in the UFL. He belongs playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Like, in that league, he would at least be going against competition that fits his skill set of where he's at physically. You know, so it is unfair to just disparage him, but this is what they forced us into doing.
It's bigger picture too, right? You've got a lack of talent on this team. Who does that go to? Who picks the talent? Andrew Berry, right? And then there's a lack of execution. We saw, 10 penalties again from this team yesterday, including that bonehead one that finished out the ball game. So on both of those, execution and talent were both lacking, and that goes right to coaching. It goes right to the front office. I think it's time that we look at a complete teardown on this thing.
Do you think there will ever be a day that comes where we build this modern technology where, like, game day for the Browns, we're asking the fans, like in a live survey setting, what move should we do?
Remember,
or when the draft comes around.
Johnny Manziel played in the fan-controlled football league for a minute.
We're asking them in a live setting.
The old saying is, if you start taking advice from the fans, you'll be sitting there next to the fans. So they could do that tomorrow if they want to. They're going to be sitting with the fans anyway. It's not going to matter.
It will be. Come the Super Bowl. We'll all be watching the Super Bowl this year from the same spot on our couch at home.
Okay, well, in any case, do you think it is Shedeur time? Like, I know we ask it every week, but so now we're okay with seeing what he's got at this point.
Dylan Gabriel is so bad, guys. Like, we made fun of Deshaun Watson, and rightfully so, for his play on the field and all the other stuff. Like, we've made fun of Deshaun Kaiser and Kevin Hogan and some of the names that we see on the back of that jersey that come in lost seasons at the end, and they're just so hilariously bad. I like to think Charlie Whitehurst, clipboard Jesus there in the 2010s.
There's a drop. I forgot that one.
Dylan Gabriel's worse than all of them. He's really bad.
Well, and he lacks the talent. He lacks the arm talent, the measurables in this case. You can really see it. I mean, it's really brutal to watch. And even when he's kind of figuring it out and he's scrambling a little bit, you kind of worry for the guy out there. He doesn't look like he's confidently planting his foot and going for 10 yards. He's finding his way, but it's really tough to watch. And you could tell he's not ready for the limelight. He's not ready for the NFL. And, I really put a lot of the onus on the Browns. He shouldn't be in this situation, like you were saying.
That's the supercomputer, though. That's their guy. They loved him for his processing ability and his experience. Like, they couldn't get this kid on the field soon enough because they're so arrogant and they're so egotistical that they think they're smarter than everybody else. And trust us that Dylan Gabriel, the top 100, is going to be a way better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. He's the worst I've ever seen.
And where that comes from, Ian Rappaport reported that. That's the way the Browns thought of this guy. That's what they thought of Dylan Gabriel, was that he was some type of a supercomputer. Right. That came out from the Browns before the season. These are the same Browns who are going to be picking at the next draft, the next wave of talent. So keep that in mind if they keep these guys around, if they keep the Andrew Berries of the world around. Obviously, you've already gotten rid of Dave Podesta, but anybody else in that brain trust who is picking talent, they're the ones who put that message out there that Dylan Gabriel was a supercomputer.
Well, you can't
be a Chromebook.
You can't be a supercomputer with a dysfunctional hard drive, though. So, like, to your point, let's just not lose the plot. I feel for this kid, to be honest.
Put him in rice. Put him in rice. The supercomputers got waterlogged.
We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It is time for our featured interview. We welcome two very special guests, former Browns defensive tackle and owner of Hanu Yoga. It's in Miami Beach, Desmond Bryant. He's accompanied by former sports reporter here in Cleveland, a friend of mine, founder of the Unsealed. It's a platform that shares inspiring stories, Lauren Brill, who helped Desmond recently pen a very powerful story. We're all familiar with it, but Lauren, Desmond, one of you take the lead on how this came to be.
Desmond, you want to go for it?
Yeah, I'll take a start. Of course, I have my yoga studio now down in Miami Beach, Hanu Yoga. And so as I've been down there in Miami Beach, the place where I'm famous for this mugshot, I started to think about and reflect on all the things that have transpired since then. And I realized that I hadn't really addressed the mugshot publicly and I wanted to take a stab at it. Fortunately, Lauren was around, and we were able to come together and get this story out there.
Yeah, for people who don't know about the mugshot, just give us a little bit of context for people who don't know your story.
Got you. Yes. 12 years ago, February 2013, right before I signed my contract with the Browns, I was in Miami, went out to the club for a night, and ended up going in a cab. It took me to the wrong house, and I got arrested. By the time I got out of jail in the morning, my mugshot was plastered all over the internet, photoshopped everywhere, and even was a Jimmy Kimmel skit later in the week.
How hard was that for you at the time? And maybe take us back to that time and what you were dealing with. Just for context, I lost a brother to an overdose, and I've got a sister 9 years in recovery. So you sharing your story, I just want to commend you for your courage in sharing it and your honesty, because I know for you back in that moment, it had to be pretty painful.
Yeah, absolutely. It was painful. I was in Miami calling myself laying low for the off season. I really wasn't going out much. It just so happened that I went out this one time, and I ended up in this kind of situation now where my name, instead of being regarded as, this top free agent on the market, which I was at the time, I was famous for being, this guy who looks crazy in his mugshot. And so it was just a really tough time. They started to sue me. They actually reached out to my agent within a couple of weeks, and they were demanding that I send $800,000 to them. Otherwise, they were going to tell the story to all the teams and put the story out in the paper. Of course, we did not give them the money. And so this, if you could go back in the Miami Herald, there's this horrific story that paints me as a monster trying to do all this evil to this family. And so, yeah, it was just a really tough time. It was hard to know where to turn. And so, yeah, I just kind of shriveled up and tried to stay away from everybody. And fortunately, as I went to the Browns, they allowed me to kind of just go past it, deflect away from it and move on. And so that's what I did.
Talk about your time with the Browns. What do you remember the most when you were on those Browns teams?
Definitely the players is the most impactful thing for me in my football time. The relationships that you build with those other guys, they last forever. Some of those guys in those teams, Ataba Rubin, John Hughes, they're still some of my best buddies today. I hope to travel with them actually later this year. Of course, being in the Browns, being in that stadium, in that freezing cold, will forever burn memories into your heart. But sacking Big Ben in front of the Browns faithful, you can never forget that kind of stuff. So I finally remember that too. But above all, it's definitely those guys.
We've seen a lot of issues over the years here in Cleveland of people with substances, with alcohol, whether it be the Johnny Manziels, the Josh Gordons of the world. How prevalent is it in the NFL, and what do you think is being done, or is there anything being done to kind of improve that for players in the NFL right now?
Yeah, for substances of abuse, if I had to guess, I'd say it's just as prevalent in the NFL as it is in the normal population. I think that, what can we be done? I think that the current measures, I'm not really up to date with how all of the testing is done these days, but if it's still the case where if someone fails a drug test once, then they're, subjected to random testing throughout the rest of their career, I think that's more of a punitive measure than something that's really going to help resuscitate them and, grow, get them past whatever's going on. And so I think trying to rework the system to not be as punitive and be more rebuilding, I think that would be a great way to go.
I want to ask Lauren real quick just about your platform and, spreading positive stories like this one. Obviously, this was such a, turning point in Desmond's life. And I think we're hearing now, the strides that he's taken since that moment. How cool is it for you that you can tell some of these stories? And talk to us a little bit about the platform that allows you to tell some of these really awesome, untold stories.
Yeah, it's amazing. For Desmond's story especially, I had asked Desmond like every week while I was in Cleveland, can I do an interview? Can I do an interview? And then he'd be like, yeah, sure. And then like, no. And then he came up to me for this story and said, I'm ready to tell my story. And it was just such a cool opportunity because Desmond is so much more than that mugshot. And it was really nice to like put the humanity or show his humanity and show the truth behind that story and the truth of who he really is. And it was really cool to see him reclaim the story. Our platform is a mix of both me ghostwriting stories and members posting their own stories. And I started the platform ghostwriting and it's gone more with the membership lately. And I told Desmond, he kind of reignited my passion for writing and ghostwriting because it was such a good story and it was so impactful. And it reminded me, to stay true to what I love and how I started this in the first place.
For Desmond, so you ended up opening up a yoga studio. How did that come to be and how's it going so far?
Yes, sir. So I actually acquired a yoga studio. It was about 2 years ago now. I was after the NFL, I was looking for something within like health, wellness, and nutrition. I was really looking for a gym, but I didn't see a good opportunity. My business partner at the time was like, "Hey, here's this yoga studio. Check it out." And I went to go check it out, and I fell in love. I actually had first tried yoga at the Browns on my way out of the Browns and had started picking up a little bit of a practice. So when I went into this studio, the community really embraced me. And so we ended up buying the studio. And since then, it's been going well. We haven't been without our trials and tribulations, trying for me to learn. One of the things I did was keep on the previous owner, but she ended up leaving after 6 months. So my strategy had to be adjusted at that point. And so, it's been a bit of a learning curve, but I think we're in a great place today. We're doing a lot of great collaborations with big names in the yoga industry. People that have never been to the US to do their yoga have chosen to come to our studio. We're seeing that. And so I'm really excited about things that we're doing. The next thing I want to do is kind of bridge the gap. I got introduced to yoga briefly on my way out of football. I think like the yoga, especially the breath work, are two tools that every athlete should have, especially on the pro level, even down to the younger levels. That foundational, it's a good supplement to what guys are traditionally doing in the weight room.
Have you had anybody reach out to you since this article has come out? I know it just came out basically last week, but have you had anybody reach out and kind of inquire on your path?
Oh, definitely. I've gotten a lot of Facebook messages from people sharing their stories about what's happened to them. There's actually a publication around here called Nice News that picked up our story and put it in one of their emails. And one of their readers actually came to the studio, found my email, shared a long, few pages about their story of coming back and how inspired they felt by my story. And it was just, again, further proof that I'm on the right path right now.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Is there anything else you'd like maybe anyone listening to know about how yoga can transform your life and your lifestyle, or just words of advice and encouragement?
Yeah. I want to point out that, yoga has helped me mostly because through meditating on God's gifts to me, my heartbeat and my breath, I found this new understanding of myself and God above me. And so I would encourage anyone to give it a shot because I think there's a real spiritual healing that's there for anybody that's really looking for it.
And Gab, his studio is 3 blocks from my apartment. So he got a new member.
Oh, awesome.
And when you come to town to visit me, we'll go.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds like a plan, guys. I do love yoga, so it's really cool to hear this. And I think just from a professional athlete's perspective, someone who's played at a high level, and just being a man, because I feel like just the general conversation, men, sometimes it's harder to talk about the things that can help them through their struggles. They're less socialized to be open about it, or maybe cope in the same way women have been socialized. We're like, oh, we can talk about our stuff. We can do all these things. So it's refreshing to hear an advocate like you come forward and share your story and talk about yoga. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back Big Play Cleveland Show, it's time for our Fill in the Blank segment brought to you by Garage Beer. Garage Beer is the perfect beer for any occasion. It's small batch, no frills, no bitterness. It's just beer that tastes like beer. The garage is always open with Garage Beer. All right, gang, the Cavs are the blank best team in the NBA when fully healthy. We're 3-0 since the return of Garland, and we're still waiting on Strus to come back, but we're looking good.
I'll tell you this. We're the best team in the East, I believe, when we're fully healthy. I know New York. I know Chicago, who we just beat. Nice comeback this week against Chicago. But I think when we're fully healthy, and we still haven't been because we don't have Max Strus back yet, I think we're the best in the East. The West is pretty tough out there. I mean, you got Houston, you've got Denver, you've got OKC, of course, returning. So that's pretty tough. I'd say we'd be 3 or 4 overall, but I think we're the top team in the East once we're fully healthy.
Chris, I have no debate to that. And I think, so remember, we've done the game and we're currently living through it, that regular season doesn't matter, playoff matters, and the playoff experience. Well, I fear there's a world where if you get to the NBA Finals, we're going to be doing that same thing with NBA Finals experience. And a lot of these guys on the Cavs don't have NBA Finals experience. Where you look out west, like the Thunder are the defending champs. The Nuggets have a championship under their belt in the Jokic era. The Rockets, led by Kevin Durant, obviously he's won multiple titles. The Lakers, if they could stay as hot as they've been without LeBron James, when they get LeBron James back, you'll have Luka, who's played in a Finals. You'll have LeBron, who's won multiple NBA championships. Like, something tells me that the NBA championship winner this season very well could come out of that Western Conference, unless the Cavs could just catch absolute fire come April, come May, come June, when those games really matter.
Cleveland is 7-1 this year when Donovan Mitchell is their leading scorer. The Cavs offense, who you think it should run through? The Cavs need to run through who?
Chris, what do you think about this? Does it really matter? Does it really matter who it runs through? I think as long as Donovan is being Donovan and you have an efficient effort from somebody else in a 7-game series, it doesn't really matter who it runs through. What you can have happen is where you get to the playoffs, Donovan gives you 40, and then Evan Mobley has 10, Jared Allen has his 3 or 4, Garland's got maybe 12 or 13. Like, you need somebody to be that alpha in the postseason that's not Donovan. Doesn't really matter who else it is, but you need somebody else to step up and produce. That's kind of like the lens that I've been looking at this through, because things certainly do look better when Donovan's the lead scoring option and not Mobley, even though it felt like this offseason they were telling us, well, it should be Mobley. It hasn't really shaken out to be that way.
And I don't think it will. I think that's a lot of people seeing the unicorn aspects of Mobley and assuming that he's just going to be the number one guy. I think Donovan Mitchell remains the number one guy. And then you've got Mobley with his unique skill set, adding that additional dimension where he can spread the floor, he can work inside. You can see he's even bringing the ball up every once in a while. It's kind of gimmicky, but it gives you a different look every time you do it. And then the addition of Lonzo Ball. Now, I think him as a distributor off the bench is a nice complement to what we've already got out there with Garland. The more people we can get involved in this offense, I think that gives you options. You want Donovan Mitchell to be your number one. You want Mobley to be your number two. And then just come at him with the Sam Merrills of the world, right? When Max Strus gets back, you want to see his shooting. So it's going to be important for all these guys to remain engaged out there. And I think we're going to be successful. I think that's really the chemistry that we're looking for going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I do think Donovan is the key, only because not that everyone's figured out Mobley, but he even said at the beginning of this season, like, they are going to double down on me. I am going to be dealing with stuff. We're going to have to see what my matchups look like. And we've been hot and cold from our 3-ball shooting and just the perimeter at times. So I think that, like, we are going to have to rely on our shooters, but Donovan just brings the vibe and sets the tone.
Here's the piece of the vibe part, right? And I'm not calling Evan Mobley soft. Do not print headlines. Do not clip this, Jack. I'm not calling Evan Mobley soft. Donovan is wired differently than Evan Mobley, though.
Yeah.
Like, Donovan, I think in Donovan's mind, he knows what it takes to contend for a championship. I don't know that really exists in Evan's mind. I don't know that it exists in Jared Allen's mind. Like, when Donovan Mitchell knows, I have to take over to win this basketball game, and if I don't, we're losing.
Yeah, and I'll
he
do
does
anything it takes to get there.
Whereas Evan and Jarrett and DG, like, they can do that. It's within their repertoire. It's within their physical ability to do it. But I think Donovan's just wired a little bit different upstairs. And I think experience is a big piece of that. Donovan's been in the league a lot longer than these guys have.
Absolutely. We also heard about the passing of Lenny Wilkens today, and we're going to do a little fill in the blank on him, but just I wanted to give him his due headline here.
Yeah, I grew up during those Lenny Wilkens era years where he was the coach of the Cavs, and those were fantastic teams. This is pre-LeBron, back in the 80s, the 90s, when you had the Cavs, the Larry Nances, the Mark Prices, the Craig Elos, the Brad Daughertys that were out there every night, and they gave us hope, and that was a really good team, and if it wasn't for Michael Jordan, I think we could have won some titles. But one of the cool stories, you know, you hear a lot about athletes getting into trouble or being out of the clubs too late or all those other type of stories. You never hear the opposite ones. And when I was a kid, growing up in Bath, Ohio here and going to Fairlawn, I went to St. Hilary's for grade school. And the little Catholic church there, St. Hilary's, went there every Sunday. And there'd always be this guy in kind of a sweater, one of those kind of Bill Cosby-esque sweaters that would sneak in after it would start and would leave before communion or right after communion. And that was Lenny Wilkens. His faith was always very important to him. And at that time, he was a big star in town, in basketball, very well known, obviously, for his playing career, for his coaching career. He was big, and he would still go to church every single Sunday. And that was always inspiring to me. He always talked about his faith and how important that was to him. And it seemed to have really followed him through his life and really given him a lot of guidance. And he's the type of guy who really walked the walk. And it was cool to see as a kid. It was a good model for me. You'd hear all those stories about athletes and everybody else getting into trouble. And then I'd see Lenny Wilkens walking into church and sitting a few rows behind me.
Well, it's wholesome because they always say don't meet your heroes. And this guy, here he has coached the most games in NBA history. Yep. He's 3 times. He's been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Player and coach and the coach of the Dream Team. So just this incredible article we're reading on the AP and going through memories of him. He really was a hero. And just the fact that you got to meet him and share that wholesome story is very sweet.
Yeah, and he fit that time for me. You know, you went from the Browns being good with the Bernie Kosar years, then all of a sudden the Cavs got good, and that was the Lenny Wilkens right before the Indians would get good. So it was cycles back then. So that was very fond memories of those teams and specifically of Lenny Wilkens.
Well, R.I.P. Lenny. We're going to pivot here to some very alternative news compared to that uplifting one. The Emmanuel Clase Luis Ortiz updates have been very interesting. What was your guys' reaction? It looks like, indicted for conspiracy, fraud, could be facing up to 65 years in prison apiece due to, all of these things. What I think was the most fascinating, someone broke it down on Twitter. If you look at Emmanuel Clase's salary, and it was like $38 million, something like this. And what he did to try to be a part of these schemes, he won, or he received like $12,000, something like that. 0.0003% of what his salary is. Like,
it
what
makes no sense.
did you have a reaction on that front? Like, do you think that there's something deeper to this, or was it pure stupidity?
Well, from the very beginning, and I've been talking, whether it be Jensen Lewis to Bruce Drennan to everyone, I've been asking, hey, for you guys that kind of know the insides, how does this work? Because this is one pitch, this is one leg of a parlay. How does it make sense economically for these guys to be doing it? And nobody had an answer to me. And now I kind of understand why, because the numbers don't make sense. I don't know if there's something else missing. This story is really nonsensical. I don't know whether those guys were really that dumb where they were thinking, okay, I can take this money. It could cost me my career, but it's still going to be worth it. That doesn't make sense to me unless somehow, back in the Dominican Republic, there was some sort of a problem with their family or something else. There must be something else to this story that I'm missing, because the money certainly doesn't make sense. And maybe the guys just made some really, really bad decisions.
Maybe
that makes you think that it's stupidity. If it doesn't make sense, if you can't find common sense, logical reasoning for it, then you're only left to believe that this is just a really dumb situation.
Or maybe the veil of invincibility, thinking like I'm a big timer.
I'm never gonna get caught.
I'm set to make $38 million, or projected anyway, to make that in my career. And what's the problem with me getting a little cash now, like right now, that I can clean up on that, no one, maybe it is that invincibility piece too. These are still younger guys.
They were so dumb about, have you read some of the text messages and things that were exchanged? Like, this was always going to get figured out.
Since 2023, Emmanuel Clase, and he may have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for Luis Ortiz on this one. We'll see. We'll see as this thing unfolds, but I think they may have rolled over a little bit on Mr. Clase.
Before we get out of here, do you guys think, considering the instances of abuse, for example, in the NFL across sports or domestic violence or over 40 victims of sexual assault, for example, and being taxed with like a couple games off. Am I stupid? Am I the stupid one to think that you could be facing 65 years in jail for this type of thing? Is that like appropriate? That's normal? To me, it's just like, wow, there's people who beat their children and their wives, the mother of their children, and risk their lives or hold a gun to them, threaten them with their life, and some end even worse than that. And here we are, like, you compromise the integrity of the game and you cost people money. There's no way to write that without 65 years of prison for these guys. I don't know. It's just
there's 3 levels of laws you can break: local laws, state laws, federal laws. These guys ran afoul of federal law. So it doesn't have as much to do with baseball as it does now. It is in the court's hands. And this is federal law that these guys are dealing with. So no matter what you're doing, you want to make sure you don't run afoul of federal law. And to your point, whether it's relatively not as bad, relatively not as bad.
Easy, allegedly.
We got to talk about these things. But when you're running afoul of federal law, you are in a lot of trouble, and they don't play around. And they also don't throw around these allegations willy-nilly. These are things that have been investigated for a long time. These are charges that they've sunk a lot of money in to go after, to investigate. So this is 100% something they're pretty darn sure they're going to be able to close the book on.
Well, it made me giggle that the MLB put out their statement. It was like, yeah, our investigation is still ongoing. And it was like, you could wrap up your little investigation compared to the feds. And that's like, with the Shohei thing, like the feds looked into Shohei's thing and they found that he had money stolen from him, from the interpreter, and that was that. They didn't find him of doing anything wrong, whereas these jokers were literally texting each other in plain English that, they were doing what they've been accused of doing.
Smoking guns all over the place.
Interesting. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. This Smart Choice segment is brought to you by Smart Choice Windows. Right now at Smart Choice Windows, you can get 50% off all windows during our limited time promotion, plus take advantage of their special financing with no money down and no interest until 2027. If you're looking to upgrade your whole exterior, Smart Choice Windows is offering $1,500 off siding for your entire home and $500 off entry door installation to boost your curb appeal. And remember that every project starts with a free, no-pressure estimate. So give them a call at 844-GET-SMART or visit smartchoicewindows.com and make sure to ask about the Big Play bonus to get an additional 10% off all promotions. All right, so we're going to give you the situation, this scenario. You're going to tell me the smart choice here. Paul DePodesta has taken a new job with the Colorado Rockies. The Browns may need to reshuffle their front office. The smart choice would be
clean house. Absolutely. I don't need any more of these fluffy positions of chief strategy officer or other things that take away accountability from the group. This team, if you look at it on paper, was a lot better under John Dorsey. And you know what? The buck stopped with him at the end of the day. A lot of people didn't like him. He rubbed some people the wrong way. But at the end of the day, you knew that he was in charge and he was putting together that roster. Right now, we've got a bunch of people who are pointing fingers, I believe, in that front office, and nothing is getting done. We don't know the Shadur Sanders. What are we doing? What's the plan there? Dylan Gabriel, what's the plan there? What really are we doing with Myles Garrett? What was the move there? We kept him, and now it seems like he may not be happy. So there's a lot of questions right now, not a lot of accountability. I'm not eager to go running back and appointing somebody to an office that I don't really think gets anything done.
Yeah, I don't know that you need a chief strategy officer because you've had one for 10 years and you really have not had much strategy. I'm with Chris. I think it makes sense to just clean house. And I feel pain saying that because I understand that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry are individuals. So for saying that they deserve to lose their job, they do because the team is so bad and they've been so bad at their jobs, but they are human beings. I just think from a football standpoint, it makes sense to bring in a new head coach, a new general manager, and a new quarterback all at one time. Because if you were to keep Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry or one or the other or whatever, and the rookie quarterback next year struggles, or say they put Shador on the field next year and they struggle, well, then you're going to get fired in like 4 or 5 games. We saw that happen this year in Tennessee with Brian Callahan. When Cam Ward wasn't in an instant hit, he was out of there so fast it wasn't even funny. So you might as well bring in 3 new characters, 3 new figureheads to this organization all at once. A new coach, a new GM, and a new QB.
Okay, there are reports that President Trump wants the Commanders' new stadium to be named after him. If the Browns were to name their Brook Park Stadium after someone, the smart choice would be...
Well, we know it's going to be some kind of a corporate sponsor. They're all about the corporations, not about the fans. We already know that with the PSLs we went through last week. What I'm more interested is the nickname, right?
Yeah.
You've got, the house that Ruth built back in the day over in Indianapolis, the house that Peyton Manning built. I would love to have a quarterback where we could call it, hey, this is the house that X built. We don't have an X right now. We don't have a quarterback.
Fernando Mendoza? The house that Fernando Mendoza built?
I love it. Somebody, we could go to the new house and say, hey, this is our guy. This is the guy who's going to win with us in this house. I don't care who the corporate sponsor is. Hopefully they're not crooked and we have to take it off like has happened before. But I don't care who that sponsor is. As long as we've got a quarterback, Nick, we can go in that house and win some games with.
Yeah, maybe some statues outside that stadium would be cool. Like, these are all things that we could hope for.
Yeah.
Potential Mendoza mansion. Jose Ramirez.
I like that one.
Jose Ramirez is an AL MVP finalist again this year. If you had to predict which Cleveland sports team will have a player win an MVP first,
Hey, if the Cavs get to the promised land, Donovan Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit, whether it's Mitchell, whether it's Mobley. I think ultimately it'd be Donovan Mitchell. He'd be the guy really driving the bus for the Cavs getting it to the next level. So we win a chip. You've got to believe that Donovan Mitchell would be right there.
We don't have enough time for me to read it all, but I would implore you guys, to congratulate Jose on this honor, just being nominated. He's not going to win it. It's going to be either Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh with the Seattle Mariners. Google, though, Jose Ramirez's stats during his time with the Cleveland Guardians and ask yourself, how has this guy never won an MVP? Yeah. He has been the absolute textbook definition of consistent at the dish, consistent with his glove, and he's just run into a gauntlet of American League MVP contenders for whatever reason that has stood in his way from actually taking one of these home. So Jose Ramirez flat out deserves this. He's not going to win it this year. I hope he could win one at some point in his career here in Cleveland. He is getting up there in age, but it would be so cool, and he definitely deserves one. It's just that every single year he finds a way to run into somebody that just ends up doing something historic.
We got to give a shout out too before we get out of here. Stephen Vogt for being a finalist for Manager of the Year again. Jose also had his 6th Silver Slugger Award. This segment brought to you by Smart Choice Baths. It's the perfect time to remodel your bathroom, and right now, Smart Choice Baths is giving you $1,250 off your bathroom projects, plus a free luxury upgrade to add comfort and style. And just for Big Play listeners, you'll save an additional 10% on your project. So don't wait. Visit them at smartchoicebaths.com or give them a call at 844-GET-SMART to schedule your free consultation today.
Our Big Play bets on the Big Play Cleveland Show presented by FanDuel. It's NBA tip-off week. FanDuel is your home for live betting. So even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join our friends at FanDuel because they're giving new customers $300 in bonus bets to use if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/BigPlay to sign up today. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 plus, present in select states. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit is required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, gang. Ravens at Browns. Ravens are 8.5-point favorites. Do you think the defense can keep them within a touchdown this week?
Give me Baltimore.
8.5-point favorites.
That's it?
We're at home. We're at home, Nick.
That's
like
it.
Insane for
2
an NFL
touchdowns.
game.
2 touchdowns. Give me the Ravens minus 13.5. Alt spread.
Alt spread on that one. I was very close yesterday. I had listened to a lot of national guys, and I was very close to betting on the Browns. And then my instinct, because what was it, like a 3.5 point spread? I think it was 2.5.
Yeah, it moved because they opened as underdogs, but because of all those trades, they became 2.5 point
everybody
favorite.
nationally is like, well, the Jets are selling off. There's no way the Jets are gonna, the Jets are gonna compete at all. The Browns should be able to roll all over them. The Browns are off a bye. The Jets are off a bye. The Jets basically got rid of everybody. The Browns are coming in here. They're hungry. They're going to end up winning this game. I was listening to that. I almost went that way. I sobered up right at the last second. I didn't end up taking the Browns, so I saved myself some money there. I think this week, though, I'm not as sober right now. I think the Browns have a chance at covering the 8.5. I think we come out. I don't think the Ravens defense is all that good. They're ranked like 27th right now in the NFL in total defense. So I think we should be able to get it going a little bit offensively, and that's all we need. If you look at this last game, the lowly Jets, I know they're bad. We lost because of special teams at the end of the day, right? You take that out, we would have won that game. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, I know. But if we can play decently on special teams, play good defense, and get anything out of our offense, we can keep it within 8.5. That's what I'm thinking, Nick.
I hope so.
Is there any chance the Browns win this game?
No.
It's the NFL. That's the only thing I could say any given Sunday, but no. I don't think anybody from Cleveland is going up to the stadium on Sunday expecting to walk out of there with a victory.
No, in fact, you're walking into that stadium expecting to go on your phone after and pull up the mock drafts.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys know me. I like to think like this is the one game that everyone thinks is going to be the one we just get drilled and we somehow pull it off.
Look, it happened last year, right?
Yeah.
The Jameis Winston game, he went out there, we beat them. It was more the Ravens beating themselves. If you'll recall, they were dropping balls right and left, making all kinds of mistakes. They did whatever they could to gift wrap that bad boy to us, but we ended up taking it home, and that could happen again. Look, I don't think we have the dogs to do it. I wonder if we've got the heart to do it. We'll see. I don't know what this organization is doing right now. It would be really nice to see them come out and play a complete game or some semblance of NFL football come Sunday. But right now, I don't have confidence.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel is not Jameis Winston, so I just can't see a path to beating the Ravens.
He didn't throw any interceptions. Jameis throws a lot of interceptions. So there you go. Give one to
Dylan
Gabriel.
They got what they wanted.
Yeah. We shall see. The over-under is set for 41.5. Are you taking? Which one are you taking this week?
I'm going over. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I don't like the Ravens defense. I think the Browns may score a little bit, and then I think the Ravens are going to gut us a little bit. I think they're going to expose our defense. Our defense has played well this season, but as the season wears on, I think we're going to come back to being more average.
It will be a good test for Carson Schlesinger because JOK was the Lamar Jackson stopper. Like JOK had the sauce that could kind of at least keep Lamar Jackson at bay. So I'm excited to see now that Carson Schlesinger, speaking of odds on rookie of the year defensive favorite for the first time all year. So that is a reason to tune in. That's officially where we're at now, mid-November. We're looking for reasons to tune in. Carson Schlesinger, a reason to tune in. Can he play that JOK role of slowing down Lamar?
Is he becoming the heart of that defense?
He looks really good, man. He's awesome.
I mean, a lot of people were thinking he wasn't going to play yesterday. Right before the kickoff, it's nope, he's going to play. And he played well, man. He
played
was
every
in there,
snap. He played every defensive snap.
All over the place on the field. He really looks good. You talk about maybe some players have quit, maybe they haven't. He's one, has definitely not quit, and is really stepping up his game week in, week out.
Was used to this coming from UCLA. Sorry.
You're good.
That was a shot.
We're getting out of here. It is that time of the show. But speaking of tuning in, don't forget you can tune in Tuesday at 7 p.m. for a full breakdown of everything Cleveland Browns with Hanford Dixon, Josh Cribbs, and Phil Taylor. You can catch it live on X, YouTube, or the Big Play app, and it's called The Top Dogs Show, only on Big Play Sports Network. We'll see you next week.
We'll be right back.